They really haven't had anyone in charge, except the president, who every day has a different... He spends half his time on whims, medicines that don't work. He spends half his time on blaming other people or other issues. You know, he's now blaming China. Well, guess what, Mr. President? It doesn't... even if it came from China, and even if it came from China only, why didn't you do something about it? South Korea did, Australia did. The idea is to deal with the problem, not just spend all your time with pointing fingers of blame. It doesn't make anybody better.
If it came from China, Chuck Schumer, we're still going to play that game. If it came from China. Apparently, Chuck hasn't read the news reports from earlier in the week that tell us all that the Wuhan coronavirus was not just something the Chinese government lied to the world about in the early days, but also they used that period where the Wuhan coronavirus was being lied about by the Chinese Communist Party. They were stockpiling PPE and stockpiling gear and things that they would need to fight against the virus while telling the rest of the world, hey, don't worry about this. Don't worry, it's fine. There's no human-to-human or human-to-human transmission is not a concern. And the World Health Organization parroted that. I do wonder at some point if we could ask Chuck Schumer, if the U.S. went to war with China, but Trump was president, would he be rooting for China or be rooting for the U.S.? You know, you start to wonder where the loyalty of some of these Democrats really lies here. There's no question that this came from China, but notice Chuck Schumer, you know, if it came from, no, scientists, everybody who is looking at this based on the facts agrees it came from China. And that's not a surprise at all. Upper respiratory infections like this have come from China, stretching back for decades, because of not just the population density in China, but also the way that they raise animals for slaughter as part of their industrial agriculture and farming. And they also have these wet markets. So that's why this comes. I mean, there was a book that I've told you all about that I read a few years ago called Pandemic, which was really interesting and good prep for this situation, which I didn't even realize was going to be the case. I've just always found pandemic disease terrifying and fascinating as a result of how scary it is. But it has been known, the scientific community has known that the flu viruses year in and year out tend to come from China. These upper respiratory infections are coming from China. And it has been the laboratory of pandemics for a long time. The world's largest petri dish, the Chinese Communist Party, is overseeing that and not doing enough by any stretch to try to stop it. But Schumer's big problem is with Trump, not with China. That's not surprising to any of us, but it should be a reminder of how grotesque the Democrats are willing to be in this process. And also the media here, the media's willingness to go along with lies and to not only parrot, I mean really parrot Chinese, the Xinhua news agency, parroting Chinese propaganda, straight up state propaganda, but also to continue with lies like this. And this is a lie that is particularly annoying for me because I was faced with this. I was on the Bill Maher show about a week or two before the pandemic really broke out in this country. And there was concern, but everybody was still thinking maybe it was going to blow over. And one of the things they kept saying was Trump has called it a hoax, which is a lie. Just like it's a lie that Trump said there were good people among the neo-Nazis were good people in Charlottesville. That's a lie. You look at the transcript, it's clear that that's not what he said. And I will never back down on this. And it's very frustrating to me that people continue to propagate that lie all across the media spectrum. Trump did not call this a hoax. And yet, Morning Joe, the biggest jerk on morning TV, really, this is what he continues to say. Play 17.
And that's what concerns me about the coronavirus coming to Middle America and the president delivering a very mixed message that bluntly makes a lot of his supporters in Middle America in these areas that could be so badly affected and that are so ill-equipped to handle this virus. It's making a lot of these people still call the coronavirus a hoax. I have heard it from friends who say many of their associates still consider this to be a hoax, that it's overblown, that it's just not the case. That's deadly thinking.
Notice how he conflates your hoax and it's overblown. There are states where they've had a couple of hundred deaths from this. but they've been on lockdown with all businesses shut down for almost 2 months now. That is the definition of overblown. So in some places, it clearly is overblown. That's not the same thing as saying it's a hoax. But this is how the propaganda mechanism works. Take two disparate concepts, try to mold them into one, and push that out there and slander anybody who will say, maybe this isn't as bad as they're telling us it is, by pretending they're saying there is no virus or there is no problem. Nobody says that. No one that I talk to, and I'm talking to actual conservatives, not like Joe Scarborough, all day long. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.